So, you know, one of the things that we really think is important whenever you get a new boat, Pathfinder, Maverick, or a Contender, is the first time that you put gas in it, it's really critical that you fill it all the way up. And the reason why that's important is because how are you to know what the fuel capacity is unless you fill it all the way up yourself? And you know, a lot of times the boat manufacturers say, well, we hold, like this boat says in some of the brochures, 62 gallons. And the last boat that I put in, including the fuel lines, and was 63.5 gallons. So probably what's usable was 62, but I gotta know that. And that way I can monitor my fuel based on the Yamaha gauge, and not necessarily the gauge like you have in the car, but how many gallons that you've burned. That's critical, because if you're gonna run a long ways offshore, you're gonna run out into the Gulf, you're pushing the envelope, you're in a tournament and you're running a long ways, it's really important to know exactly what your fuel capacity is, and more importantly, what's the usable amount. The only way you'll ever know that is by filling up the boat the first time, so that you can monitor the fuel burn. If you only put 20 gallons in it boat the first time you fill it up, now you have to have the problem of keeping up with all that. How many gallons did I burn while sitting at the marina or in the break-in period where it's just idling on the hose at the house? So make sure you understand that first time you get a boat, fill it all the way up to where you can see it, so that you know exactly what the capacity is of all your tanks. So we got 32.2 gallons. I'm gonna put it in my phone. 32.2. We'll probably get another 30 gallons in it. So the one thing that's cool about the SHO Yamahas is that they're designed to run on lower octane fuel. 89 is sufficient. And so I'm actually putting 93 in here. I'm not putting any wreck fuel in it. So we'll see where we end up here. Right now we put in 32 plus 22, and it's starting to do this clicking off stuff. So we're just gonna put it in slow and see what happens. So it clicked off at 54 gallons the first time. And since then, I put in another 5 gallons, so we're approaching 59 gallons. So that's why it's really essentially important that you fill it all the way up to where you can see it, so that you really know what your total capacity is, because the fuel recovery systems that the EPA now is making all these manufacturers put in, they have a tendency to make the gas click off a lot sooner than it really is, so it's really not full. So you think it's full because it clicked off 3 or 4 times, and realistically you can add another 8 to 13 gallons depending on the model. So keep that in mind, and that's why it's really important to make sure you know what the total fuel capacity is. I'm gonna keep putting gas in this until I can actually see it right here. See all the bubbles clicking off? Those bubbles are air that's got to escape from the tank in order to give me more room to fill it up. So we had 32.2 gallons with the first $100 that the guy set the pump for, and then I added another 29.3. So my total is 61.5. So now I know what the fuel capacity is. I can see the fuel right here. There you go. So probably safe. No, I got 60 gallons usable. don't think it's supposed to go inside, but I guess it's gonna be okay for a few minutes. It's called Q-Max salt. It's a corrosion inhibitor. Prevents rust, corrosion. I treated an old Suburban that I have over in the Bahamas. And we think that Suburban's lasted longer than any other car we've ever had over there. Even though the rust on the road, I mean the salt water on the road usually gets them. So now I'm just gonna spray this everywhere. And because we just preheated the motor, this should help the motor stay looking new. It's funny, I just sold my last Pathfinder, and the guy said, man, this motor looks like it's brand new. Well, it's because this is what we did. All the linkage. And what I'll do here in a second is I'll start the motor back up and let it warm up a little again. Let this stuff soak and bake it on. Spray all the bolts. Stay away from the rubber parts by the most part. There we are. There we go. That's it. We're good to go.